It's a big Monday. Oh, my. Lots of moving parts, lots of stories to talk about. All the number ones for just the second time. And you all know the last time and only other time they were all number ones. 2008, the Tigers and UCLA in North Carolina and Kansas. That was the Blue Bloods in Memphis in that one. Now you got a Final Four that we should all have a ball watching, because I can't tell you who is going to win. I know Florida's the favorite slightly against Auburn. Duke is the favorite, 4.5 against Houston. I can't tell you who's going to win. I know I picked Florida to win the national title in the brackets to begin with, but wow. It's tough. It's really, truly a tough deal. Just looking at the ballot, I had three of the four finalists. I did not think that Alabama would lose to Duke, and they did in a huge way. Look who's back. Brian Dacus filling in for Elijah Seegers today. Spotting yesterday for the Showboats. It was so Showboats-like the way they ended that game. Yeah. My goodness.
Unfortunately.
I'll get into that for sure. But we've got lots to talk about with the NCAA. We'll have Mike DeCourcy who will join us. Then, of course, in the final segment, we will have medals. I have not had the opportunity to speak about the firing of Taylor Jenkins, which took place after our show on Friday. Stunning on many fronts, in particular with 9 games to go. You fire your coach. Interesting. Zach Kleiman took ownership entirely of that decision. I think it's good that one guy is the guy that says, look at me, I'm the guy. He doesn't very often say, look at me, I'm the guy. He is really held accountable for very much, to be honest with you. He will get a rust later from me because of that accountability. And I don't really know. I don't cover this team like I cover the Tigers. I watch every game. I watch it on TV, so I get Pete and Brevin and Rob Fisher's view of it. I'm not there for all the practices or all the meetings, or do I really even know these guys and their personalities other than the interviews that we get to see them. But I'm going to say this. They've always had this system where you're out, then it becomes doubtful, then questionable, then you're in. Right? In this particular case, Ja was out. First, he was out with hamstring soreness. Then he was out with a hamstring strain. Then, after 6 games he misses, the coach gets fired. He's starting. My gosh, no doubtful, no questionable. Out to start. 6 games missed. Starting lineup played good, except he did get, they said, tweaked at the end. I didn't see it, but that he was tweaked at the end. And it makes me wonder, honestly, 6 games out and you start the day after the coach got fired? I don't know this for a fact because I'm not up there for the everyday stuff. But if you just sort of read the tea leaves, and that's what you got to do at the Grizzlies, sure looks fishy. Coincidence? Out 6 games? Out on the disabled list? All of a sudden a starter. Whoa. I gotta also go, with this change, obviously, Thomas Isolo becomes the interim head coach. Good. He gets an audition of 9 games. They did play with more energy. I'll give them that. Against the Lakers on Saturday. Here's what bothers me, and there's no accountability from the Grizzlies, nor does anybody in this media. Even Michael Wallace said it with Greg and Eli, that the media doesn't come down very hard on this administration. Zach Kleiman was instrumental in making Taylor Jenkins fire his assistants last year. So he brings in two guys that really were in charge more of the offense and defense. Noah LaRoche on offense, Patrick St. Andrews on defense. Both those guys dismissed with Taylor Jenkins. That's why Thomas Isolo is now the interim head coach. Both those guys were in charge of the philosophical changes that were made by the team pertaining to structure on offense and defense. In particular, the LaRoche offense was not a fit for the guy that Zach Kleiman drafted, Zach Edey. It was not a fit for his superstar, John Morant. It was not a fit for his second best player, or maybe third best player, in Desmond Bane. Why would you draft or bring in a system that doesn't fit the player? That's on Zach Kleiman. That's on Zach Kleiman. That is for sure. And I guess Taylor Jenkins is basically the odd man out in all of that. And the timing is just terrible. I don't understand why you're trying to fight for a space in the playoffs as opposed to the play-in. You would make the move that you did at this time. And it's great that Ja got suddenly healthy, but for those 6 games, you're going to have a question mark. And if indeed there was, it wouldn't be the first guy that maneuvered to get a coach fired. And it won't be the last. And that's not as big a deal as many people might think, because it happens. It happened with Michael Jordan in Chicago. It's happened with LeBron. It's happened. It happens with superstars. But if that's the case, I don't know it is. Seems coincidental. 6 games, he's out. Jenkins gets fired, he starts. But if that's the case, what does that say about his ability to help with teammates?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question. Then we had reporting done over the weekend. I believe it was The Athletic. Don't quote me on that. But that said Ja Morant complained about the new offensive scheme. This was the quote from the story. Some days he looked like he's ready to play, and some days he didn't look like he wanted to even be here because he hates the offense. That was an anonymous source that gave that to The Athletic.
Well, then we can speculate, right? If that's the truth, then Zach Kleiman has to go to Taylor Jenkins and go, look, this Noah LaRoche offense isn't working for our guys. You better change it. And Taylor Jenkins goes, I'm not changing anything now, right in the 9 games to go. We can't do that. And he goes, you're out. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. There's a lot of different ways you could think about this. I've heard some people say and speculate that they know Pop's not coming back. Taylor Jenkins is going to be the head coach next year for the Spurs, replacing Popovich. And they're saying, well, if he's gone, let's find out if this guy Isolo can do it. All speculation. I have no idea. I'm just throwing out stuff that's possible because the timing just stinks.
Timing doesn't make sense at all. But maybe you're on something. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
And honestly, the structure of the staff and the systems with the players and their compatibility, that's ridiculous. Why did you even, if you were going to change your offense to this system, why would you have drafted Zach Edey?
Right.
He's not a match for this system. He's a match for pick and roll. That's what Isolo went to.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. That's a question that the beat writers and the people that cover this team every day should be asking. Anyway, I think this is the last free pass Zach Kleiman's going to get.
I think so.
But we'll see. To the showboats.
The boats.
I'm pulling so hard for the showboats.
Me too.
I go back to the 80s. Some people still call me Boat Wolotion because I was the director of broadcasting for that entity. It was my first taste of really big time. I mean, the USFL in the early 80s was truly a big league deal. It was not like this spring league. They were trying to get themselves a merger into the NFL, and they came very close. They played it wrong at the end. They used Trump to be their spokesperson when they should have used somebody from a smaller market, not a multi-billionaire loudmouth guy. And so instead of it being the little guy against the big guy, it became the big guy against the big guy, and that failed. But it was a big-time thing. My first taste of that. So I have a great affinity for it. And I got to tell you, I appreciate the hard work and the effort that Steve Macy is putting in.
Absolutely.
He's working his tail off. He's doing everything he possibly can. But how in the world are you going to get fans to care about a group of guys that come in 5 days a year? There's 365 days. For 360 days, we never see them. For 5 days, we do. For 3 hours, or really 2.5 hours, because I give credit to the UFL, man. Those games go fast.
They sure do.
They're so much faster than a college football game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, when there was a point yesterday in the first quarter where I think, Michigan kicked a field goal maybe to start the scoring, and immediately both teams were back out there for the kickoff. I was going, whoa, wait a minute. We're supposed to have a break here or something, right? Like this is not supposed to be that fast. But, yeah, they move quick.
I was very, very impressed with the speed of the game. And I will tell you, I think those that were there enjoyed the game. Mm-hmm. And I'm being generous here. I'm going to say the crowd was 1,800. I know they said it was like 4,300 or somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. It was definitely not. Mm-hmm. It was under $2,000. That's the truth. Those people, I think, enjoyed the product. The rain held out. This is a league, and look, those people that are running this thing, they're not stupid. Mm-mm. I think they have to know that unless you put the teams in the markets, there's no way you're going to get people to come. Even in Arlington, where everybody is, the crowds weren't that good. Or the crowd wasn't that good. There wasn't crowds. There's only one home team. It's the Arlington whatever they are. And I watched their game. I don't think there were that many more people than there were at the Showboats games. No. These people are making this a TV game because they got TV ratings that, according to what Steve Macy said, and I've had this verified, their ratings were better last year than the NBA's.
Wow.
I also think there's a different wrinkle, and I'm going to get Joe Dank on the case. You didn't see it because you were working it as the spotter for Eli on radio. I went home at halftime because I wanted to listen to Eli and Russell Copeland. Sure. And I will listen to the third quarter, watch the fourth quarter. So like every series, they have this woman, good-looking girl comes on.
Erin Dolan, yeah.
Okay, and she talks gambling.
Uh-huh.
So here is an interesting aspect of this. The app that they have is not FanDuel. It's not DraftKings.
That's right.
Is it the UFLs? Is it Fox's? It's somebody where I guarantee the league must be getting a piece of it. I got to get Dank on the case here.
Yeah.
So are they making their revenues not just from TV and sponsorship that way, but are they also making it from a percentage of the gambling app?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know. I didn't get to see either of the Fox games this week, and I did watch the second ESPN game, and Erin Dolan, that's how I knew who you're talking about because she was on that second game, gambling. They're using ESPN Bet, so they're using ESPN's gambling. They're trying to push people to their ESPN's gambling app.
So whatever it is, the league and ESPN, they're sharing
that's
in
right.
this. There is a percentage of money that is coming in from gambling that they're pushing. It's not just the television sponsorship. And if you get good ratings, you're going to get good numbers because they're selling the numbers. And they need programming that deliver numbers. But now add on to that revenue stream gambling. And I have no idea what that percentage is, how much money it might be, but it's another revenue stream. And so maybe that's why they don't really care. This is all a television program you can bet on that brings in sponsorship and gambling revenue. And that's the most important thing. And, the players are decently paid, I guess. They get to do what they love and play the game. The games are fun. I thought the Showboats game yesterday was a good game. They're marching back to win the game or to tie the game, whichever one they would have done. I think they would have tried to win the game had they scored. And they get the ball and they move it into plus territory. And then, unfortunately, the quarterback, and they're rotating between a kid from Brown University named Perry, who was the starter, and they kept moving back and forth, and Williams, who was really the more effective quarterback, kid from Utah. And unfortunately, they bring in Williams for the final run. He throws a couple of really good passes. They move down, and then he throws under duress a bad pass, a pick six, and the game is over. But that game wasn't decided until the final minutes of the ball game. I think it was under 2 minutes, right?
Sure was.
Yeah. So, heck of a game. Heck of good pomp and circumstance and the big flag and the waving and the fireworks and the pregame stuff. And they're doing everything they can. But I just contend to you, this league will not be a viable audience participation league until they move the teams into their cities. And I don't know if they ever will. Because if they're making enough money this way, why would they?
That's a really good point.
Offensive line is pretty weak.
Yeah.
They can't run the ball.
No.
That's a problem. Defense is really good, though.
Yeah, defense came with some huge stops.
I saw Jalen Allen, the Tiger. He played pretty good. He's not a starter. He's a backup, but he came in. He had a couple of really nice plays.
Did. Yeah.
So that made my heart warm. I like that. I think they'll be better than last year. The other aspect I looked at, and I question, and I'm going to try to find out because I know who the guy that is over this project, but you looked out from where we were on our side. By the way, we're camera side, where the press is. They were funneling the fans to the opposite side. You had to come into the gate in the end zone, and if you were buying tickets, you bought them near where the press box is, but you would have to walk around because they want all of the fans on the other side, which is where the cameras are showing. And so I'm looking out and I'm looking at the fans and I'm seeing the 1,800 and they're having a good time. And then I'm looking at pretty much, although it's more cleaned up, what I saw all of last year. Mm-hmm. There's no starting construction to bring in the new premium suites that will rise into the sky where the gaping hole is, that you can see the Mid-South Coliseum and the new Memphis Sports and Event Center. By the way, there were more people at a church service at the Memphis Sports and Event Center. They should have just said, hey, guys, come on over. There were more there than there were at the game.
A ton over there.
Yeah. But the construction, which I made a call this morning, found out they are on time. And apparently, before they can start to build up, they have to go deeper down into the casings, into the pilings, I guess. I'm not an engineer by any means, but they have to go down as low as they can to fill that in with whatever will support all of the weight that will end up being the new premium seating and suite area. And I guess also to hold the concrete that will still be in place for the party deck. So I hear it's on time, but my gosh, it looks the exact same, except it's more cleaned up. You see where the top part of the foundation is. But I guess they got to do more work down low. I'm not 100% certain, but we're going to work on that because, I mean, you're sitting there and you're going, wow, they haven't done anything.
No, yeah, like you said, look the exact same.
So
but as long as they say they're on schedule.
Yeah, I hope they start working on all of that. Okay, we are officially underway, and this Monday show brought to you by the good folks at Southern Security. Let me just say this. So many different ways that you can enjoy being a team member, part of the family of Southern Security. You want to refinance your auto because you need cash, you can do that. With Southern Security, you'll have no payment for 60 days. Southern Security will finance up to 115% of the current value of your vehicle for up to 72 months. To find out how to put more cash in your pocket, just call. It's simple. You talk to a human at 901-452-7900, or you can apply on the website the more modern way at southernsecurity.org. Southern Security is a proud supporter of U of M Athletics and 901 Women. Southern Security, 75 years old, the last 6 years, the best credit union in Memphis. It's your home team credit union. Southern Security is federally insured by NCUA. We're off and running. We head to Pittsburgh. We will talk to the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News. That is Mike DeCourcy. He comes your way in just a minute.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
It's time for the Ram Truck Month and Jeep celebration to get on down at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram beyond all the pipe. 2025 Ram 1500 Tradesman Crew Cab 4x2. We got it going on at $13,335 off MSRP. Plus 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4x4 4-wheel drive. Now $13,119 off MSRP. 2024 Dodge Vernon GT all-wheel drive. Most powerful gasoline-powered SUV in its class. $12,637 off. And 2025 Jeep Compass Latitude now just $24,796. Plus 0% for 72 months is available. So try past the rest and come to the best Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram beyond all the pipe. Online GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
74023, MSRP 51650, Cherokee RC 106867, MSRP 65210, Hornet R3 AO 8452, MSRP 44620, Compass SG 567704, MSRP 29765. Include all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax credit license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid to end of the month with group credit dealer stock only.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finish with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes, or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
They'll be dancing in San Antonio is where they'll be dancing. Isn't it weird? The first time ever since they went to the expanded tournament concept. 2008, all 4 number ones met in San Antonio on the Riverwalk. Second time it happens on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. That is a very weird coincidence, Mike DeCourcy. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Good. Good. Very, very sad I'm not one of those guys there, but, you know, It's the way life is. That's
Yes.
Those 4 number 1 seeds. So here's the question I have for you. Is that a sign, when all 4 number 1s make it, that the committee got it right?
Well, the committee got most of it right, as I've been saying all along. The thing that they got wrong, they got 2 things wrong. One was the inexplicable and indefensible inclusion of North Carolina in the field. No business being in there. And I've talked to a lot of people in and around the game, and the general conclusion that I reached pretty quickly, and something that I always thought way back when I first started dealing with committee members, is that the whole process of, well, I'm not in the room when they make this decision, whoever that person might be, if the commissioner of the SEC or the athletic director at Kansas or whoever's on the committee. I'm not in the room when they're talking about my team or teams. But you have to come back to the room, and they have to look at you in the eye. And if they like you, and Bubba's a really nice guy, I like him, they don't want to disappoint you. It's that simple. And if you're a bad guy or bad person, then maybe they'll stick it to you. But Bubba's likable and generally liked in the business. So they didn't want to disappoint him.
Here's the other aspect that bothers me, okay? If this is true, and this was what was written, so I believe it, but that Bubba got a bonus, a sizable bonus, a 6-figure bonus for his team's inclusion into the NCAA tournament. If you're on that committee, I don't see how you can have a bonus tied into that. That is absolutely a conflict of interest.
Oh, massive. And that being any athletic director, let's not tie it to Bubba. Any athletic director who gets a bonus for that sort of performance by one of his or her teams, any athletic director should forego that bonus for the duration. It's usually a 5-year term, for the duration of that term. And if you don't want to forego that bonus, then don't accept the appointment.
Bingo.
It's 100% true that you should not have that conflict. Just as when you go to Congress or you get elected president, you're supposed to put all your stocks and bonds and such in a blind trust and not deal with it. That's supposed to be how it works. That's how it should work for any athletic director or conference commissioner in that circumstance. You absolutely should be putting those things aside. And again, if you don't, you got a chance to make $500,000 because Carolina is going to make it most years. If you're on a term for 5 years, you're going to lose $500,000. Well, I don't want to lose $500,000. Okay, then you don't have to be on a committee. There's other people that can do it.
That is right, and that makes that thing smell even worse than it already did. But for the most part, getting back to the positives of this, this has been a great tournament so far. You've had a couple of buzzer beaters. You've had a couple of upsets. Again at the 5-12 line, unfortunately for the University of Memphis, and now you've got these 4 number 1s that I frankly have a hard time saying I could tell you for sure I know who's going to win. I know Duke is the big favorite. You buy that?
Well, interestingly, if you look at the teams, they're the only one that has what the other probably 40 champions in front of them in time have had. That's what makes this interesting. Like when we went to 2023, it was certainly the same way. I mean, UConn had multiple pros on their team. They wound up with 3 first-round draft picks. Hawkins was one, or maybe it was 2. Hawkins was one, and Donovan Clingan was another. And then they had other pros who were not first-round picks. And then everybody else didn't have that. Miami didn't have that. Certainly FAU didn't have that. And San Diego State didn't have that. They were terrific college teams, but you knew that UConn was the one that looked like a champion. Now, what's interesting is you can say that about Duke, and it's 100% true that they're the one team that has that NBA-level talent that you usually have, and then you add in some other components. They're the only ones that are missing maybe half a piece. Sion James, not a typical championship point guard, but then neither is Auburn. And Houston doesn't have the NBA guys, and Houston doesn't have the creative wings. And you can pick holes in all of them, but man, what they're good at, they're really good at. I mean, this Houston team, that I looked it up yesterday. I did some research on this as I was writing a column about it. that you look at their number in Ken Palm for their defensive efficiency. They give up 88 points per 100 possessions. That's a great number. But other teams over the last 25 years have done better than that. But they did better than that in seasons that were not as offensively explosive as this one is.
Right.
Offense has gotten better because the rules have gotten better. Because you can't just jump in front of somebody, fall down, and say, oh, it's a charge. Now you have to actually be there in legal guarding position well before the player starts his move, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't see many of those. And so offense works better, and it's more attractive. But if you look at the disparity between the number one offense in the country, which is Duke at 130 points per 100 possessions, and what Houston's doing, it's actually down to 87.4 after what they did to Tennessee yesterday. The disparity is the second or third best that we've seen in the 21st century. Kentucky 15 and Virginia 18 were the only ones that were really competitive with this. So we're talking about one of the best defenses of the century. And Auburn has Janai Broome tearing it up. And you look at Duke, we talked about before, and all these teams that are there now are just so good at what they're good at that it's impossible to say that they can't win it.
I'll just say this. You mentioned Duke's offensive efficiency. The best offensive team I personally saw on site was Alabama this year. This
right.
is the same Alabama team that had 25 threes out of 51 attempts in the game in the Sweet 16. And Duke, which scored 85, held Alabama to 65 points. I picked pre-tournament in my bracket. I got 3 of the 4 Final Fours.
Oh, good.
I picked Florida to win the national title. Obviously, they still could. But,
right.
man, after watching what Duke did to Alabama, watching them all the way through, I don't know. I see why Duke is the favorite in all of this. Now, then again, Houston could, if they can put the clamps on Cooper Flagg, maybe they could win the game. But, my gosh, to hold Alabama to 65, to me, out of the Elite Eight games, that was the most impressive.
Yeah,
although Tennessee, what Houston did to Tennessee was pretty good too.
Oh my goodness, 15 points in the first half. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, I one of the things I went through in the column that I wrote about Houston's defense and what they accomplished was the fascinating thing to me was, now, I mean, Tennessee's not a low post based offense, but I mean, they had their bigs took a total of like 5 shots. I mean, they have 3 bigs that they rotate, and they played normal minutes, and they took a total of I think the number is 5 shots, and because they just couldn't get the ball in there. It was astounding that they were struggling so much. And I'll be honest with you, I think that Tennessee should have come out with some wrinkles. I thought that going in there with their base, this is who we are, against that defense was probably an overestimation of their offensive ability. That they should have said, okay, this is what we've done all year, but if we try to do this against them, they wreck everybody else. We got to show them something we haven't shown. And they didn't do that, and I think they paid for that.
If I asked you who the player of the year was, because I voted for the Wooden Award, and I don't think I'm allowed to say who I voted for.
Oh, are you not? Well, I know you had 2 choices.
Exactly. I'll tell you who my third choice was P.J. Haggerty. I'll share that because I thought that dude was incredible. He did not have a good tournament game, unfortunately. But he's second team All-American in your thing. Second team.
Yeah, but not on my ballot. P.J. was on my first team. I voted for P.J. over Mark Sears, and I think he had a better year. Mark Sears had a great year, but he had a better year a year ago. I thought he was better last season, and I thought PJ was better than him this season. I thought PJ, his impact on the Tigers shouldn't be underestimated. He had a phenomenal year, and I will tell you, I voted for him on my ballot. and for the USBWA as well.
All right.
So I don't pick these because we are one of the 4 consensus selectors. I endeavor to make sure that it's not just my pick. It's not. I shouldn't get one vote out of the 4 consensus. So we have a panel of about 20 spread around the country that we use and I try to go with people who are very immersed in the game. Parth from Memphis was on our list this year, as a matter of fact.
Good.
He was one of the people that I had on our what I call our blue ribbon panel. And if it was just my choice, I would have had PJ. And he was close,
but
I thought he had a great year.
That is outstanding, but he's not one of the top 2. So without giving out my ballot, I'm asking you.
Well, here's what I can
who's
tell
better,
you:
Broom or Flag? Because they were both incredible in this tournament.
Yes. Well, we select ours before the tournament because it's a like in the National League MVP doesn't get picked after the World Series. It has to be something that everybody is eligible, so to speak. And we pick it after the regular season, not the conference tournament, because if we publish it the week of the week after March Madness, the selection start, nobody reads it. So that's how we decide to do it. And we picked Janai Broom.
Well, that makes sense to me. Selection. That makes sense to me, and I'll tell you why. Who was the overall number 1 seed?
Right.
It was Auburn. Who's the best player on Auburn? It was Broom. But I will say this. I mean, come on. You can flip one. You can make a case for either of these guys. I mean, they have both lived up to the hype that they got. And here's the other thing about Broom that I will tell you, just from watching up close and personal. I saw Broom when he first got to Auburn. Memphis played Auburn in Atlanta. Memphis won that game. Broom was a good player. He was a little bit better than average. He was not a great player by any means. His development, and maybe this is Bruce Pearl or there's a big man coach on that staff, whatever it may be. He may be one of the greatest players I've seen in terms of development from being an average guy to a super player. Cooper Flagg has always been great. This kid, wow.
Yes, I saw Cooper Flagg when he was 15 and knew he was going to be the best prospect we'd seen in American basketball for a decade or more. I knew immediately. After watching him play for the U.S. at the U17. He was 15, and he was playing for the U17 World Cup, and he was the best player on the team, and he was the 4th leading scorer on that team. It shows you how gifted he is. For me, the difference was Janai had to go through the SEC, the deepest, most powerful league relative to its season in college basketball history. And Cooper went through the weakest ACC there's ever been. This was the worst the ACC as a basketball conference has been since it was founded. So it absolutely an advantage for Cooper in terms of performance. Now, if he had been in the SEC, he probably would have done most of the same things. He's that talented, that good. And if he had been, I would have voted for him, but he wasn't.
All right, so let's break these 2 games down before we say goodbye and run out of time here. You've got Auburn and Florida. They played once before. I think it was in Auburn, and Florida controlled them. And by the way, that Florida comeback against Texas Tech, one for the ages. It reminded me of up 9 with 2:12 to go, to be totally honest with you. But then Texas Tech did the same thing for me to poor John Calipari, who's the victim of a big lead in the final minutes in the tournament and couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, the thing I worry about with Florida right now is that their struggle on offense. Struggle is a strong word.
Yeah.
But their lack of eliteness, I don't even know if that's a word, but their lack of elite performance on offense. They are the number 2 offense in the country, but some of that is based on depth and schedule and all of that, and they haven't played the best schedule. They played the weakest SEC schedule they could possibly play, and I realize that's kind of counterintuitive because there's not much weakness there, but it's not like they had a steady diet of Kentucky's, Tennessee's, Auburn's, and Alabama's. They didn't get a lot of that. So that helped them, and they played a really weak non-conference. Now, look, I'm not saying they're not phenomenal. But I think as we get here, you're starting to see Elijah Martin. Man, love to have him on my team. Don't love him as my second option. I don't love the fact that they don't shoot the basketball really well, except in certain circumstances. And I'm really reliant on Walter Clayton. And there are things that you can pick apart because of that. And I don't like the fact that they had to come back in 2 games and they had to really basically close phenomenally against Tech, and then pretty extraordinary on a pretty extraordinary basis against UConn. Walter Clayton is having to completely take over games. They need to be better at the start against this team. Auburn does not mess around very much, and you have to have some offensive production against them, because you look at the Michigan game. I mean, there's 10 minutes left in the Michigan-Auburn game on Friday night, and Michigan's up 9, and you think, something strange could happen here. And then Auburn remembers they're Auburn, and all of a sudden it's a 10-point lead the other way. I mean, so you have to be able to match that, and they just don't have as many offensive weapons. They're a better team overall, but they have to play to it now. They can't. If they play anything like they played against UConn or Tech, they are not coming back. That will not happen. Auburn will not let them back. But Auburn, we don't know what Broome is like health-wise. That's a bit of an issue, and you have to find somebody to guard Pettiford. Who I don't know if I saw the first game between the two of them. I didn't make great mental notes, but who stays with Pettiford on that team? That's a real question, because Pettiford he's the guy. Janai is the man, but Pettiford is the guy. If they don't have Pettiford, they're nowhere near here.
I'm with you. And the other kid, Baker Mazzaro, whatever it is, the hyphenated last name.
Yes, Baker Mazzaro, yes.
Yeah, he's not played as well as he was earlier in the year. All right, let me get to Houston and Duke. Houston held, as you mentioned, Tennessee 15 points in the first half. They end up with 50. They average 74. That is some kind of defense. But can they stop this Duke machine?
They can slow them down, there's no doubt. But Duke has more different ways to score than Tennessee does. They can go inside a little bit. You don't get a lot done around the rim against Houston. I watched J.T. Toppin, who played a kind of a rough game. He shot the ball really well from the perimeter, but struggled at the rim against Florida. He completely relented in their game, and that was in their home court. He just said, "I'm not playing in there." And it didn't say it audibly, but that he metaphorically said, "I'm just not going in there," because it just didn't feel like he could get anything done. And he started shooting like 14-footers, and he wasn't making them, and so they lose at home to Houston. Duke's got a lot of different ways to score. They're going to have to shoot the ball well from the perimeter. They certainly have the capacity to do that. They can put 4 shooters on the floor, stretch Houston a little bit. I think that's something that they're going to have to use, that perimeter ability well, but use it advisedly, because if you shoot it up there, you're probably not getting the rebound. And when you play Houston, the other thing, and Rick talked about this a lot after the game yesterday, that when they were getting first shot stops against Houston, and it's not that hard to do it because they're not that great of shooters,
right? You
got to get the ball. You can't let them rebound it, and they rebounded phenomenally on the offensive glass, and that's like the 15 that Tennessee scored. If Tennessee doesn't give up offensive rebounds, they might have been able to hold Houston to 20 or 22, but they couldn't stop them off the offensive glass, and that completely allowed Houston to dominate the first half.
Is there an indictment on Rick Barnes that he's only made one Final Four in all of this tenure at all these different schools, and Tennessee has never made a Final Four?
You know, the one thing I would like to see Rick do, and this year was sort of they made advancements on offense this year, but I don't know whether they've ever said, okay, we need help on offense more, whether it's personnel or whether it's coaching. I know a lot of talented wings go in there. Look at Josiah Jordan-James, really highly ranked as a prospect coming in, and then he gets there and can't score. And how much of that is the program and the way they play offense, and how much of that is the way they're developed? But he's a phenomenal coach and somebody that you definitely would want your son playing for. A great person, He's going to be that your player is going to be treated well there. But I do wonder a little bit about how they approach offense in their program.
That is Mike DeCourcy, the Hall of Famer. Last thing, easy question. Just tell me straight out. When we talk next Monday, we'll be breaking down a championship game. Who will it be?
I think I had Duke, Florida on my bracket initially, so I'll stick with that. I don't have any reason to change it other than Gators got it. Like everybody else, go Gators. Well, they got to go. I mean, it's time. They can't just wait around for the final 4 minutes to, hey, Walter, save it. And that's some of that's on Walter too. I mean, he's got to be better from the jump. He was really poor the first 32 minutes against UConn. I don't think he played as badly in this game this weekend at the start. But the way things have developed, he's got to be phenomenal from the start to be able to for Auburn, to hang with Auburn, to get ahead of Auburn, because Auburn has not been slow out of the gate many times.
Though the broom health will mean something. I got Houston, Florida, but I'm scared with that Duke team. As always, my friend, a pleasure. I can't wait to talk next Monday.
You bet. Thanks, Wolo.
That is the Hall of Famer, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studio. Today's the last day of March. Will the first ever preseason pool, spa, and patio event, will it continue? Will you still be able to get pools from under $2,000, spas under $3,000, patio furniture sets starting at $7.99? Will that continue? I don't know, but I do know this. If you get there today, you can enter to win a free pool, spa, or patio set just by signing up. Please get there. Tell them we sent you. Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road. We take the break. When we come back, it'll be Bryant and I passing out precious metals. That's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the University of Memphis Athletic Department as they host the inaugural Power of Girls in Sports Clinic, sponsored by FedEx. Held in the Laurie Bolton Family Basketball Center, Saturday, April 12th, girls 3rd through 6th grade will join Tiger female student athletes and staff to learn life skills, build confidence, and develop a healthy lifestyle while participating in sports. Admission is free, and the deadline to sign up is Monday, April 7th. Availability limited to the first 200 girls. Sign up at gotigersgo.com/PGSC.
I love back home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your nature-made vitamins?
Every day. Multivitamin and a probiotic.
Still looking out for me?
We're still to care for you every day. Nature-made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Pharmacy vitamin, based on a survey of pharmacies who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
We are ready to meet anyone on your new Hyundai from Gossett Hyundai on the Pike during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Plus, you get America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Listen to this, Mid-South 2024 Hyundai Venue Limited. We Gossett 22,317. How about 2024 Hyundai Elantra Limited? We Gossett 24,997. 2025 Hyundai Elantra SEL Convenience 25,260. And 2024 Hyundai Sonata SEL Standard 26,353. This is what deals are made of at Gossett Hyundai 1870 Covington Pike. Online, HyundaiGossett.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
341,155, MSRP 25,160. Elantra RU 821,411, MSRP 28,780. Convenience SU 856,185, MSRP 27,020. Sonata RA 415,696, MSRP 29,110. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Elwood Shack and the Lowe's parking lot on summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Park across from the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwoods. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, either beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwood's even at the Real Coffee Bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now in 2 locations and open every day for you.
Sports 56.
our Mondays by handing out precious and not such precious metals. I'm going to start. I'm going to give a bronze to Jacob Mensick. Who is Jacob Mensick?
Great question.
You're going to know about him. He's 19 years old. He's a phenom, a tennis phenom from Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
He beat Novak Djokovic, the Joker, 7-6, 7-6 in Miami. He was 54th in the world coming in. He's only 19. He's a power player. Now, Joker was not 100%. He had an eye infection. There was a 5.5-hour delay because of rainstorms. The track itself, the court was slippery because of it. So, big advantage there. But remember the name Jacob Mensick. He's won his first ATP Tour event. Speaking of firsts, Min Woo Lee gets his first PGA Tour win. How about that? Do you know about him?
Yeah. He was part of TGL. Yeah, how about that? He's a TGL alum.
He is. He's an Australian.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's a South Korean guy like all the others. His sister, by the way, is a major winner on the LPGA Tour.
Oh, wow.
Look this
I didn't
up
know that.
really quick. This is only the second brother-sister brothers and sisters to ever win both a PGA and LPGA Tour event. I can't remember who the first one is, but this is just the second. And this guy, he's unbelievable. So he was playing on Saturday with Scotty Scheffler. You know how long Scotty Scheffler is, right? He was out driving Scotty Scheffler. He's a little guy, skinny guy. He was out driving Scotty Scheffler by 20 yards a drive every time. It was amazing. So he wins his first. Were you able to get that?
I've got the story. I've got to find the other names.
Okay. I think it's just the second.
This says it's the third.
Oh, it's the third?
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. We'll get back to that. I am going to give a silver medal to Lauren Betts and to Gabriela Jacquez. Do you know who they are?
I do not.
You don't?
I do not.
Lauren Betts is the 6'8" post player from UCLA who's going to be a star. She's only a junior. She's coming back to UCLA. They're playing in the Sweet 16, in the Elite 8 tonight. And they beat LSU for a spot in that Elite 8. This is the first ever time that UCLA, we know the men are so great, that they've ever made an Elite 8. And Gabriela Jacquez is the outside shooter. Her brother, Jacquez, you remember him. He played for UCLA.
I do, yeah.
I think he's in the NBA now.
That's right.
Yeah. So that is quite the same thing. I got to give a silver medal to the New York Yankee Bats. They're different. They're called the Torpedo. So basically, they've taken the weight from the end in the barrel, and they put it more toward the label. They did that because of one player, and it's paid off. You know that they've hit 15 home runs in the 3 games they've played? 9 alone on Saturday, which I believe is a Yankee record, plus which in game 1, first pitch, first batter, home run. First pitch, second batter, home run. First pitch, third batter, home run. I don't think that's ever happened in
Against
baseball history.
former Yankee pitcher Nestor Cortez.
Right. But has that ever happened before in baseball history?
No,
I don't think so.
History, yeah.
Wow. I mean, that was incredible.
That's insane.
Are these bats legal? That's the question. It says they are. Says they are. I got to question that. And then I got to give gold medals to the NCAA selection committee. They got it right. When you got all number ones, you get it right. And the broom and the flag. And I can't honestly tell you because I could make the case for both. Which is player of the year? I'd go with Broom just because he's developed so much. He's the best player on the number 1 overall seed. I would go lean for him, but I could make the case for Cooper Flag. And the truth is, they've both, under incredible amounts of scrutiny, lived up to the billing.
They definitely did. I have those names for you. So the other 2 pairs of siblings were Kathy and Billy Kratzert.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not familiar with
I didn't remember
Kratzerts.
Billy Kratzert. I didn't remember his sister.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kathy. And then Jackie and Jim Gallagher. So,
really?
yeah.
Jim Gallagher's sister won.
That's right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Jim, who's is on your show, right?
That's
Isn't
right.
he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple pairs. All right. Real quickly, I'll run through my medals, very short and sweet. My bronze, it's got to go to the Nakua brothers. I don't know if anybody knew Puka had siblings. Both of them played at BYU. Sampson yesterday caught a touchdown, made a tackle on special teams, and then Kai Nakua had the pick six at the end of the game to seal it for the Michigan Panthers. So the Nakua brothers, a good day for them. Yesterday, my silver medal, it's got to go to the St. Louis Cardinals. Dave, 3-0 to start the season against the Twins.
The Twins are bad.
Can't go 162-0 without starting 3-0. Just saying. And then my gold.
Wait. I will give you any bet you want that they don't do that.
Well, I don't want to bet that. I'll pass on that bet. But thank you for the offer. My golds, it's got to go to the 4 number 1 seeds that made it to the Final Four: Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida. Such a fun weekend of college basketball.
All right, my Russ, I got 3. Starts with Zach Kleiman. Timing of the hiring, even though he took total responsibility for it. And also, how about accountability for hiring a new staff and not drafting to that system of the new staff? It's not a fit. It has not helped Ja, his superstar. It did not help his number 1 pick, Zach Edey. It didn't help his 3rd best player in Desmond Bain. Where is the accountability on Zach Kleiman? On the Pittsburgh Steelers, a rust. Are you really thinking about Aaron Rodgers? Are you crazy? And then finally, Rick Barnes in Tennessee, 15 points in the first half in a game to get to the Final Four, of which the program has never gotten to, and he's only gotten there once in all these years. Big question marks about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I only have one rust today, but I think it's a big one. And I'll start with a question. Dave, you know I love college basketball.
Yes.
It might be my favorite sport. It's hard to tell, but I do love college basketball. Did you know we had college basketball today?
We have NIT games.
We do not have NIT games today.
Well,
It's
we
tomorrow.
have women's college basketball.
We have men's college
2 different
basketball
tournaments.
today.
Oh, we do?
We do.
Oh, wait, I do know it. It's the Crown.
The Crown.
Yes.
Dave, I've been waiting for the Crown to start.
Tulane's playing, baby.
Tulane is playing. I think they play tomorrow. But my problem with this is that the casual viewer of sports, of college basketball, probably had no idea the Crown is starting today. It's on FS1. Who's flipping over to FS1 to see it? And Dave, I think now we're seeing, look, the NIT gets the benefit of the doubt. They start right there after the selection show on Tuesdays, Wednesdays on ESPN. Everybody knows they're going. If you want to watch them, you know where to find them. But this one's different because, one, it's on FS1. One, it's been so long since the bracket was even announced. And the bracket, nobody even saw the bracket when it was announced. And the final thing, this is really like bowl games in college football because a lot of these teams have already had guys enter the transfer portal, so who knows who's even playing.
Well, Tulane's got 3 guys that
That's
aren't
right.
playing because of
Yeah.
that.
It's crazy.
Here's what I think it's. Again, it's television programming. I think it's
Sure.
smart of Fox.
I'll be watching it.
Because, honestly, there's no basketball until Saturday.
That's right.
Why not take advantage?
Yes.
I think it's a smart move.
You got to market it better because I have not seen any. I'd forgotten about it. And then the other day I was looking around. I was like, oh, man, we got the Crown on Monday.
We got the
Gotta
Crown.
market better.
Who will win the Crown in the very first
NIL
round?
money into
I don't
it,
really
too.
care. I'm going to watch the women. How about the women? They've got the Elite 8 games today.
Right.
Two Elite 8 games, and then there's some other women's tournament that's starting.
How about that? All right.
CBI, CIB, whatever the heck it is. That is crazy. Weekend's over. Time to stock up at the Spirit Shop. Go see Eddie. That's Eddie Connor right there at Poplar St. Nick. It's 4848 Poplar to be exact. It's that little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. And in there, you will see so much product. You'll be amazed. You think it's small in there? Spatial engineering. Eddie's got it down. He's got valuable. He's got middle of the road. He's got up-and-comers. He's got bargains. And he will give you the education to figure out why each is what it is. It's fun. Go ask him about a rare bourbon. Go ask him about the up-and-coming tequila. Ask him about a different flavored vodka. Ask him about which wine that's now being bottled is going to be valuable in the near future. He's probably got it right now. All you got to do is ask. Go see Eddie and the crew at the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Johnny Radio is next.